Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World Daily with me, John Jordan. So another day, another big company doing NFTs. So the news today, following up from Sega yesterday announcing it was doing NFTs, Hasbro has announced it is also actively now looking at NFTs, and its CEO, Brian Goldner, has commented they are a real opportunity for us. So who are Hasbro? I mean, I guess we sort of know the name as a toy company. It's kind of Hasbro and Mattel are the two big US toy companies. Hasbro over the last certainly last 10 years has been heavily getting into games. So some of the big IPs it has, I guess the sort of biggest one is from our point of view is sort of Magic the Gathering. So that well-known physical card game, which has become multiple computer games. They just launched Magic the Gathering Arena, a big mobile free-to-play game that's doing pretty well. They also have Transformers, Dungeons and Dragons, G.I. Joe. I mean, loads of other things, but those are sort of the kind of highlighted ones in this sort of context. So this was announced in a analyst call. So whenever companies that are on the stock exchange or any stock exchange, every quarter, every 3 months, they have to tell their shareholders and the public kind of how their business is doing, and normally at that point the CEO has a call with some analysts, people who are looking at his company, and they ask him questions. And one of the questions was, what do you think about NFTs? They're a big thing. And then so the guy then kind of talked about NFTs. So this wasn't something that necessarily the company that Hasbro has been talking about in and of itself, but obviously they have been working on it. So there's the general idea: NFTs, digital objects owned, secured on a blockchain. We've known about them for goodness knows how many years, but certainly they're sort of gaining kind of mass market kind of interest now. I guess at the start of 2020, we've seen a lot of kind of art NFTs being sold for millions of dollars. We've had NFTs really back in 2017, where we had CryptoPunks and CryptoKitties. That was the start of it. So people have had time to understand what these things are. And he says, Brian Goldner says that Hasbro already has a team on the west coast of the US. So presumably we would think that is probably California, maybe Seattle, I don't know, but probably California. That they are working on blockchain. We don't really get a time frame of how quickly something will be launched. Like yesterday, Sega said they had stuff coming in the summer, but they're saying we're actively developing our opportunity. So there's definitely going to be something on the NFT side from Hasbro, and they see it as substantial. So substantial is kind of a good word to use in a financial context. So substantial doesn't mean sort of intellectually substantial or culturally substantial. This is financially substantial. So Hasbro, a multi-billion-dollar company, sees NFTs as being a key part of its kind of revenue going forward. We see multiple opportunities. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. But my kind of guess would be, at the moment we're seeing people like Sega, and actually most companies kind of releasing collectibles. So you release, whether they're cards or whether they're kind of just little characters. You release these kind of like sort of static objects. I don't mean they're not animated, but I just mean that they're just things you own. They're a bit like putting baseball cards. You have physical baseball cards. You put them on the internet. We've seen that with Topps. You have Garbage Pail Kid cards. With bubblegum, and then you put them on the blockchain, and they're just kind of animated cards. And that's one thing. Obviously, Hasbro can do that. They sell lots of toys and that sort of thing. But obviously, the more interesting stuff for us is games. So I think we see these companies checking out the water, releasing these kind of collectibles. You can imagine kind of sets of various characters that you collect. And then it may not be those actual NFTs. I mean, it may be, but it may be then they release other sets of NFTs that are actually released for the purposes of playing games. So I think we have a sort of two-speed approach from some of these companies, particularly these big sort of corporates where they have different laws around what they can do in terms of government regulation. And even blockchain is even a bit confusing in terms of kind of stock exchanges. How if like Tesla, you've got Bitcoin on your balance sheet, you have to account for that in a different way. It's not seen as money. No one quite knows what it is, I suppose, from that sort of point of view. But you have to account for it in different ways. So it's kind of hard for them to move very fast. But it is interesting. Again, Hasbro were not necessarily the first company I would think of who would be in this space. We've not really seen, apart from Sega, we've not really seen the big games companies. We've not seen Activision. Blizzard, have not seen EA, have not seen Zynga, any of these people going forward on it. It may be like Hasbro, they have teams already working on the opportunity and see it as substantial. I would think they would be crazy not to be doing that. But we will see, and I guess the other thing is, once some companies start announcing it, then you start to see all the companies who have been working on it for the last year, 6 months, then starting to announce what they're doing, because they don't want to be seen as being left behind in this new technological kind of disruption, this new wave. And obviously, from an investment point of view, if we think this is going to be valuable, then companies want to show that they're ahead of the game, and people should buy their stock. In this case, for Nexon. Sorry, for Hasbro, because they're going to be reaping great rewards from doing these NFTs. So I guess a really interesting one here is Magic the Gathering. So we have on blockchain at the moment lots of kind of Magic the Gathering sort of inspired games. I guess, Gods Unchained, probably being the most famous one. We have a kind of Dark Country as well. I mean, there's quite a lot of card-based games. Because card-based games are easy to create NFTs, you understand what they are. It's a card on the blockchain. Splinterlands, shouldn't forget Splinterlands, should I? So it would be a big deal if Magic the Gathering came to the blockchain. I can't think it will not happen at some point. I wouldn't think it's the first thing they're going to dump on the blockchain, because Magic the Gathering is a massive deal for them. And actually, Hasbro were quite slow to get Magic the Gathering certainly onto mobile free-to-play. That wasn't something that they rushed. They spent their time doing it and seem to have done quite a good job. So yeah, more stuff's coming. Definitely, this is just the tip of the spear, as they say, or the first wave, whatever, the first penguins, whatever you want to call it. But good to see this is happening. So thanks for watching the channel. Please do subscribe to keep up to date with what's going on, and there's plenty going on. But thanks for watching this one, and see you again soon.